Hello, hello. How excited are you getting for the Converge conference? I know I can't wait to be there with you in North Carolina. And in case you're wondering, hey, who are you? My name is Melina Palmer. I'm CEO of the Brainy business and your opening keynote for the conference this year. So, what am I talking to you about today? To help give you some tips about how you can implement brain science to help you to get the most out of any event you attend, starting with this one. Sound good? So, how many times have you been to a conference or listened to a podcast, read a book, what have you, and said, oh my gosh, I can't wait to implement all of that on Monday? And then Monday comes and somehow you don't quite get through everything that you wanted to. Eventually, it just starts collecting dust on the shelf. You forget about it until the next conference and you think this time it'll be different. But inevitably, you fall in the same cycle again. Sound familiar? The good news is you're not alone. And also, the reason this happens is because of how our brains are wired. And there are 4 main biases that are working together to help keep you from moving forward, getting these things done. So what I'm going to do in the next couple minutes is just quickly share a little bit about what those 4 biases are and give you one simple tip that can help you to get the most out of Converge. Ready? Okay. So the first of our 4 biases is one you've probably heard of before. It's called optimism bias. This is where we think we're better, faster, stronger, smarter than everyone else, including the us of 5 minutes ago, and that this time it'll be different. Like I said in that story where you think, this time, even though in the past few conferences I've been to that hasn't worked out, this time the stars are gonna align. I feel better about this one. I got a feeling it's gonna happen. So knowing that your brain is wired to think this, it's important to work around it, to leverage and know that this is something that's going to happen. And the next 3 biases come into play to help overcome that as well. So we know that we have an optimism bias. We think we're gonna do better next time. We also suffer from something called planning fallacy. This is where we don't really account for all the external stuff that's going to come up, and it will come up. It may be different than what you think, but there's always something, right? These are those emails. This is a kid coming in and asking for something. These are the fires from clients that you weren't expecting, that weren't scheduled in on your calendar. This is you needing to get a snack at some point along the day, right? All those little things that happen, that always happen. Our brains are kind of wired to not plan for those things, even though they always come up. And because of our optimism bias, we think that this time it's not going to be a problem. So what happens is, say you've got an 8-hour day that you don't have any meetings and you think you're going to get all this strategy done. 8 hours isn't really 8 hours because we should plan for all these extra things, for your brain to get bored, for you to get a bit distracted, for those emails, for those client fires, for snacks, for all those things. When you account for all of that, maybe there's 5 hours of productive time in that 8-hour day. If you properly plan for it, you're going to be more happy coming out of that event. And so thinking about this in terms of the conference as well, both for attending and then after the fact, knowing, client stuff's going to come up if you have your phone on, and you're going to have things that are maybe going to keep you distracted. What can you do before or after if you set goals for yourself when you're not in the moment, the heat of the moment, so you can be really engaged while you're on site at Converge, to be able to block out this time. It's important. You planned for it. You wanted to be there. You want to get the most out of it. The next of these brain biases that we have is something called time discounting. So I call this the I'll start Monday effect. So similar to what we were talking about leading into this, of the insights from the conference, imagine instead that this is your diet and exercise program. It's Saturday night and you say, oh, come Monday, things are going to change. I'm changing my diet. I'm going to start running every day, whatever it is. You clean out the fridge, you buy all new food, you set up a plan, you've picked a 5K or whatever. And then, you go to bed feeling really motivated, you set your alarm, and when it goes off, that that's me, I have to go do this, you feel like a completely different person at that moment. And what research has shown is our brain actually does light up when we think about ourselves in the future, whether it's a few days from now, months from now, or even a few minutes from now in some cases. When we think about us in the future, our brains light up like we're talking and thinking about a completely different person than us. So future Melina is different than me. And when I'm planning, it's really easy to commit future Melina to not get distracted and to run at 5 a.m. and to eat a salad with no dressing or whatever it is. And when I am actually in the moment, I want to put it off, just even for a few minutes or until tomorrow, and hit that snooze button, right? So if we know that the time discounting is going to come up, we need to do something now to show our brain that this matters and it's really us. We're committing to the thing. All right, our last bias that's coming into play is something called bike shedding. The reason this got its name is because there was a researcher that was looking at a team that was slated to be helping to design a nuclear power plant. And they spent an inordinate amount of time focusing on the bike shed, which is ridiculous, right? We know looking at this, that makes no sense. That's definitely not what they should be focusing on, but we do it all the time. It's where something small and trivial feels incredibly important. And until we figure this one thing out, you can't do anything else. But that one thing is often not the most important thing. So we know we're going to bike shed because our brains get afraid of change. They love the status quo. They work in predictability. And so what you've always done, that comfortable space, which is different than what you want to implement coming out of the conference, can make it so your brain puts other stuff in your way that feels safer. So you bike shed, even though you really want to do the thing, it's going to do these things, and then you never end up getting to the point where you actually feel like you have enough time to do the thing that you want to do. So those are our 4 brain biases that are keeping you stuck. The optimism bias, your planning fallacy, your time discounting, and bike shedding. So what can you do? What's the one simple tip to do going into the conference to help you retain more information and to actually implement what you learned? It's really simple. It's to focus on one thing. You're going to learn so much amazing stuff here at the conference. And if you try to do everything, if you try to implement it all, it's easy to bike shed on all those little things and productively procrastinate and never really get anywhere. So before you attend the conference, if you can sit down and think a little bit about what do you want to get out of it? What's the most important thing? Is it about networking? Is it learning about a specific aspect of your business and what you want to be implementing when you get back? Are you looking for a strategic partner? What is it that you want? The most important thing from the conference? What's the information you want to retain? When you have that focus, it will help you to be able to make sure that you're aligning with the one thing. And at this point, be setting yourself up for success. Ideally, if you know someone who's going to be there as well, that can be an accountability buddy for you, that you're going to be checking in with, say, once a day, and say, hey, what did you learn today to help you for that goal that you set up? And then also setting something up, maybe on that Monday when you get back in the office, or Thursday, whatever it is, to say, what's the one thing you're going to do when you get back to the office? What are you committing to now that you're going to do then? So if it's networking and connecting with people, schedule that time on your calendar now for Thursday, let's say, where you're going to send those follow-ups, or every night where you're at the event. What are you going to do then? That one thing, if you know what your focus is, if you're able to know about these 4 biases that would keep you stuck, it's really going to set you up for success so you can have the best conference. And I can't wait to hear all about it when I see you at Converge. So have fun. See you soon. And again, my name is Melina Palmer. Can't wait to connect with you. And if you don't have an accountability buddy, ask me. I'd be happy to do that for you. All right. See you soon. Have a great one.